Your girl is back for Dana's Reads, and y'all, I have another book for you. And let me tell you something. I loved this book. I realized that when I was bringing up the book, I didn't have the cover ready, but what I'm going to do is add it onto the screen because I listened to the audiobook. And so if you have not been here for one of my Dana Reads, well, then a welcome. If you are back, then a welcome back. And thank you for watching. This book is, I'm going to bring it up because I don't want to say the title wrong. The book is called Sin and Magic by K.F. Breene, and I'm going to tell you all about my experience. Y'all, this is a little bit of a review, a lot of bit of my impressions of what I was reading, and I try my best not to give away big spoilers because I want you to read the book and I want you to be able to enjoy the book. If I feel like I'm getting too close to that, I'll definitely let you know. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this steamy, what would I consider this? A steamy romantasy, almost urban fiction, shifter, all of that. It's all of that. It's all of that on top of it being like a whodunit sort of mystery vibe. Y'all, it had everything. So if you want to hear about my experience with Sin and Magic by K.F. Breene, well, then stick around. If not, I'll see you after this short little intro because we about to get into this. Let's go. What's the deal, pickles? My name is Dana. Welcome to the Freedom Please channel and essenceofme.com. I think it's important for me to point out when I am doing these videos that I am a developmental editor. My primary niche is romance novels, helping them to write addictive novels. This is one of the reasons why I read a lot, but the reality is I would read a lot anyway. I'm also a romance author and I do write in multiple niches. One of them is paranormal romance, primarily werewolf shifters. And so with this book, I am going to just warn you that this book is the second book in the series. I believe there's 6 books in the series. I have all of them and I'm just making my way through them. And so let's get into this. In general, I'm going to bring up my notes. If y'all see me looking down, it's because I have my notes. And if you see me toggle, it's because I have my notes. Okay. I'm going to read the blurb for this book since I don't have the physical. I have the physical of book 1, but not book 2. So let me grab it. Okay, here we go. Let me give us a little bit more light. Y'all, I'm chilling today. I went out for a walk, so this is how we looking, okay? So here we go. So the description is, again, the title is Sin and Magic. It is the second book in the Demigods of San Francisco series. And this is the blurb. I'm gonna have to put it over here. Okay. I agreed to work for a demigod. My job, find the spirit of his mother and release her before his vengeful father finds out and kills us all. Have I lost my mind? Thankfully, I don't have to do it alone. Kyrian has brought in help. A necromancer who loves to flirt with danger, Breene, can help me find the clues to free Kyrian's mom. She can also help me learn my potent and extremely terrifying magic. But as we work deeper into magical San Francisco, we uncover a minefield waiting to explode. I'm learning that there are far worse things than death. So this is the blurb of this book. I'm going to tell you right now, I absolutely loved everything about this book. I loved this book more than I even liked book 1. And I like book 1. Like, this would totally be so far one of the series that I would read again. And so how I found it. I was going on this journey to read romantasy books. Again, I'm an editor, and so I like to keep up with shifts and changes in the market and how stories are being written and put together and their structure, because this is how I help my clients. So you guys know me here as a crafter, but that's what I do. That's my bread and butter, okay? That and writing books. And so that's what I do. So it's just always a great opportunity to just dive into books. What I did was I went down this sort of, I feel like I just slipped down this like hole of stuff. And now I know that doesn't sound good, but if you've been around here a while, you know that's my MO. Okay. So I wanted to find some of the romantasy books that were a little bit of the older ones that sort of establish the current tone and texture and structure of some of the more popular ones today. I'd read quite a few because I read along with my clients, but I also wanted to read what I would consider like staples in the niche. So I had found a couple of authors, and then I picked some that everyone was talking about. Yeah, I still haven't finished those, but they're in the lineup. Like a Court of Thorns and Roses. What was some of the other ones? I'm looking at my list. I had A Sin in Chocolate. I had, where's the other one? Oh, these are all out of Fourth Wing. I had some other ones that were shifters, like, that I loved. The Tyrant's Alpha Rejected Mate. I said A Court of Thorns and Roses. Wolf of Fire. There was a couple more. So I read or purchased, and a couple of them I still need to read those books. The first book, Haunted by Fate. I don't think that was book 1 in that series. I think I read through book 4 in that series. The point is, I bought quite a few romantasy books, which are this hybrid between romance and fantasy novels, and Sin and Chocolate was one of them. Now, when I did this, there was one more. Oh my goodness, what is her name? It was a great retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And it wasn't K.F. Breene. Y'all read a lot, and sometimes, as you know, I'm known to forget a name. And I'm forgetting it, and I bet it's going to come back to me when I least. A Ruin of Roses. That's the one. That one was by K.F. Breene too. So I found those, and when I went through and I read the back, I picked Sin and Chocolate first, which is book 1 in the series, and I loved it so much that I bought A Ruin of Roses to try to see whether I liked the series or whether it was her writing style, or if I liked the dynamic between her romance and her fantasy elements. And in this case, to me, she really reminds me of what I would consider like old school urban fantasy. Now, I'm saying old school, and mainly because I know urban fantasy is still out there, but there was a season where urban fantasy was everything. And I think sort of that urban fantasy element sort of has swapped out for romantasy. I always want to say rom fantasy, but romantasy, give or take. But the point is, I feel like her energy gives me energy of like the urban romance, the urban fantasies. And so I read book 1, where we meet Alexis, who they call Lexi. She is a magical, and she is in San Francisco. And San Francisco has this element of both humans and magical beings. And those magical beings vary. And we find in book 1 that Lexi knows that she has magical abilities. She just doesn't know the extent of her magical ability. And she bumps into Kyrian. Kyrian is a demigod. And when they meet each other, he notices something in her more than she knows is even possible or is even there, because she was never submerged into the magical world. She doesn't know a lot about her powers. She knows enough to kind of be a little bit destructive. And she also knows enough that her mother told her to keep her safe. And we're starting to realize why in book 2. a lot. And so I'm not going to give away book one. I totally think you can listen to this about book two and still read book one, because when we get into book two, in book one, let me state some things that are important. She is the mother, air quote, or the guardian of two teenagers, Malachi. I want to say Daisy. Is her name Daisy? Y'all, I didn't take a lot of physical notes. I should have. I took some. I believe her daughter, for lack of a better word, her name is Daisy. Her mother passed away and was caring for Mordecai, who is a werewolf shifter, and Daisy, who is a human, when she passed away. And Alexis, again, her nickname is Lexi. Her name is Daisy. She took care of them. Now, the dynamic between Lexi and Mordecai and Daisy is hilarious, and it is everything. It is everything that you love about a found family dynamic, which is they are choosing each other, and they're choosing each other hard, and they show up for each other. And it is sort of like this democracy. Instead of her being the parent and them the kids, they are always reminding her where she needs to turn left, turn right, or she needs to turn around. And she does everything that she needs to do to take care of them. And they do everything that they need to do to look after and protect each other and her, even when she doesn't realize it's for her best interest, which is hilarious. And so that is the dynamic that when she finished book one, she ended up accepting a job to work for Kyrian, the demigod, to free his mother from... I would say, like, basically she's, oh gosh, I don't want to, I'm trying to see if it's in the blurb. Free his mom's spirit. Okay. So, because Lexi sees dead people. Okay. Now, she has this ability, and it is very much in your face, and it's very much it's present and accounted for. But what I like about it is the fact that it doesn't feel super creepy. When I read the book Ninth House, I found that the ghosts in that book made me feel creeped out. The ones in this book, now granted, at some points it's like, oh my goodness, it's getting real. It didn't feel like, I don't really like horror / stories like that, whether in books or on TV. It didn't feel like anything like that. Like I didn't want to continue a scene, or I didn't want to continue reading. And so we are experiencing her trying to carry out this job and also stay alive and stay out of the sight of Kyrian's father. And then we have Kyrian, who is like all of that and then some. He is a demigod. He has a very powerful group of 6 who fight with him, protect him, etc. And he has them on board to look after and protect Lexi and her, as they call them, wards. And they are teaching them how to look after themselves, how to fight for themselves and everything. And him and Lexi are this good balance of push-pull, that they are drawn to each other. But who he is stops her, and his role in this world stops him because he knows that it could put her in the line of danger. And this is one of those times when an author does an amazing job of making somebody that it can seem very, very bad, like really terrible, have extremely redeeming qualities about them. That there are things that he does for Lexi and he does for these kids that you just see him in a different way. So even though he has to do certain things and he's tough, there is that balance of him making sure that they eat, making sure that they have security detail, making sure that they're taken care of, making sure that Mordecai has blankets, right? And things like that. And I just love that. I love a good alpha male, but also having some sort of layers to him. And it kind of is weird because in this book, she mixes having third person and first person, third person on Kirian's side, first person on Lexi's side. So you have this mix, and I think it's meant to be sort of this omniscient perspective of Kirian, and it does make it seem a little bit odd, but it works. You get to know Mordecai and Daisy a lot, and listen, they basically are like her parents. And Lexi needed. But what I can say, for all the ways that Lexi gets it wrong, she gets it right more often than not because her heart is in the right place. And I think that that is a great characteristic for a female main character to have when, honestly, she's learning her magic. She's trying to stand up in an environment where it can look as if the odds are stacked against her, but her magical ability says that she should be at the top of this sort of spectrum, but she's chosen to sort of play small to be able to do what's best for the greater good. And her association with Kirian is starting to bring out another layer of herself, and she's starting to learn how to grow in her powers and in her understanding and in her ability to help not only her wards and her collective unit of the wards, the six, and Kirian, as well as, what is her name? Bria. Y'all, Bria is out the chain. And Bria, and so it's sort of like from book one, it's sort of this bubble of them. And then book two, the bubble gets a little bit bigger. And I am a sucker for a good found family romance. I love found family romances. I just love them. Now, I will say that this book is super steamy. This would be what they call smut, okay? It's not everywhere, but it's in a lot of places. But y'all, it was so good. It was good. So it is super steamy. Know that. But what I love about this romance is that it's not just a romance. It is a mystery component of trying to find out trying to free his mother's spirit. I'm saying it the way that the blurb said it. Really does come with its own form of complications, and she's learning her magic, and her abilities are what she needs to be able to solve this because he can't do it. And I also really, really like that he is a very powerful man, but she's equally as powerful. And so the sense of agency and dynamic in the beginning, it seems off. But it's only off because it's not fully disclosed to her. And I like how in book two, that sort of, that being blindness being off of her eyes, she's starting to see more. And even though she doesn't fully get it, she's starting to get it. This kind of reminds me of the Sookie Stackhouse series. It's one of those series that I like. I haven't finished it, but I slowly, like over the years, will read another book. It's not one that I would say that I'd gobble up, but it's one that I can always enjoy. Another one that it sort of reminds me of in a sense of the development of the female main character is the Stephanie Plum series. Now, the Stephanie Plum series will totally be on the vanilla spectrum when it comes to this story, but the sort of structure and archetype of the story in the series lends itself to just seeing the female main character evolving and growing. But in this story, you get the benefit of also seeing how Kirian is changing because of his proximity to her. And her goodness is rubbing off on him. And I love the fact that he takes accountability for the fact that he wouldn't have saw that. He wouldn't have cared had it not been for Lexi. And so both of them are growing, and I'm really surprised by the fact that this series is 6 books and it's still with them. I'm not sure how this author is going to pull it out, but so far your girl is here for it. So that is how I found this book. I also told you about sort of my thoughts and my reviews. Now, who's it for? I think this book is absolutely for anybody that loves a romantic fantasy, who loves a fantasy fantasies with very detailed world building, but also like some heat. Y'all, they bring in the fire. She did bring the fire. The first one, don't get it twisted, because that one was a slow burn. This one, listen. They did some stuff I ain't never seen in a book before. so that I do also think that this is a great found family story. I already said I liked found families, but I think the dynamic of how Lexi and her small sort of family opens and expands for Kieran, opens and expands for Bria, opens and expands for the six, and how it becomes like their home becomes a hub for them all. And you see that more and more by the end of the book. I also think this is a great series for people who love to look at very unique magic systems. Now, one of the things that I find very interesting is that this magic system seems sort of vague but specific. And I think it's because I don't fully know why I think it is. I'm going to just give you a quick theory. I haven't read all the books, and I think I'll have a better understanding once I finish all of the books. But by this book, I think why it feels sort of vague but specific is because we're doing this through Lexi's eyes, and she doesn't fully know what she's doing. She knows enough, but she doesn't know everything. And she's still learning, so we're still learning. Her proximity to Bria does know, but Bria doesn't know about her particular powers. So it keeps that sort of lens and scope sort of narrow, and it makes it so that we get the benefit of seeing it grow with her. Kieran does have an understanding, but he doesn't know what she knows. So I think, again, that helps us to have this sort of limited scope, but at the same time, like, it's vague, but specific, like the dynamics between the magicals and the humans and the different zones in San Francisco is just I think it's a very interesting thing. I have not read all fantasy books. I haven't read others like this. There could be more, but for me, this has been a great reading experience. And I feel like it's unique without being like Eckhart Tolle. What's his name? Tolkien. Like, not trying to be like, is that his name? That's not his name. I'm thinking of, oh Lord, I done butchered the man's name. Like The Hobbit, or like Brandon Sanderson. Like, I have all of the Mistborns. It's not like that type of fantasy. It feels a lot more relaxed, even though the stakes are life and death and are high, and it feels more relatable and understandable. And so I think that makes for a great combination. Now I'm going to I need to look up this man's name, because I feel like I just messed up his whole entire name. Oh my gosh. Why is he doing? Oh my goodness. Oh, it was Tolkien. J.R.R. Tolkien. I mixed Eckhart. That was the dude from Untethered Souls. Listen, there's some Untethered Souls in this. Okay, so maybe I'm closer than I think. Great cast of characters, great dynamic, great world building. So that's another reason why. Now, because this is a serial, I wouldn't just call this a series. They are connected, but she does a great job of closing out each book. And you just know that there's another element of this that is still open, that sort of raises the stakes at the end of each story. So in some ways it's a cliffhanger, but I would consider it a soft cliffhanger. For these first two. So I've only read 2 of the 6, but it's like a soft cliffhanger, and it's very acceptable. Another thing about this series is all of the books have been released, and all of them are available in audiobooks. So that makes it so even if it was a hard cliffhanger, you could just move on to the next book. What I didn't like. I did not like anything. I loved this book. I gobbled this book up. Did I not like something? No. I can't think of anything at this point that I didn't like. There were some times when I felt like if things were the way that they said, that I think Kieran should have been a little bit more intuitive. But I think that there were times, because of his lack of understanding of her magical abilities, he just didn't know. He didn't know to be on alert. And I think sometimes her, like, I'm woman, hear me roar moments do seem a little bit extra and a little bit itty bitty witty bit naive. But I think overall it works for the story. So I don't have any specific things that I feel like I didn't like. Yeah, I liked it. What made it unique? Everything that I've said. I absolutely love that in this book, it started opening up the world. We already knew about him being a demigod. We knew about the werewolf shifters. We knew about the ghosts. And there were other types of beings and magical abilities that were explored. And I think what that does for me also is I like how Kev Breene, I believe it's a she, is baby stepping us into her world. And every book is getting a little bit bigger, even though the landscape is still small. And I like that because it makes it so that as you are picking up additional knowledge, you're just learning more. It's not like she's trying to tell you everything at once. I also really like how she transitioned into the new book like a pro. Like, I didn't expect anything less, but it was done like a pro. And she just brought us up to date. Story is moving, boom, you're on your way. So you could pick up with book 2 and not read book 1 and be just fine. Now, I think you would do yourself a disservice. Go on and read Scented Chocolate. Just go on and do it. You'll like it. So I think what makes it unique, I think it's those things. I think it's the dynamic. Also, even though it's steamy, the bulk of the book is about the mystery, like solving who they believe they know who did it, but where is she, how to do it, what magical abilities are going to need to be done to fix this, and where did it take place, and like all of the other questions that you get with a whodunit, even though technically they do know who did it. And so it made it so that it moved the story along. It's fast paced and it was very entertaining. What surprised me? Y'all, this one was super high. I kind of figured, I knew their chemistry was on point, but the first one was such a slow burn. I did not expect that this one was hot. So that, I probably was really surprised by how she ultimately developed Kieran. Not like a full surprise, but kind of. I like that he is in his own way being vulnerable and he's also being accountable. And I just like that. Because he realizes what he's doing and what he wants to do puts her in danger. And I don't think that that's the part that is so different, but I think his awareness of his actions and what he wants to do are a lot more spot on than people just being clueless. And I just like that about his character. It does make for a good character for me. Would I read it again? Yes, and yes. I would totally read it again. I am going to read it again. But not right now. I'm moving on to book 3. But yes, I would read it. Would I continue the series? Yes. I already bought all of the books. So part of my story that I didn't tell earlier is that I loved book 1 so much that what I did is every time like I would have a big something go on in our business, we did a retreat, we did whatever. I am big on giving myself gifts and incentives, and I get them for myself. And one of those was that every time something would happen, I would buy me another set of these books. So I would buy the ebook and I would buy the audiobook. Y'all, I'm going back and buying the physical copies. I want my physical copies to be right here with my other favorites. It is going to be right here, and it's going to be the whole Demigods of San Francisco going to be right up there with everything else. And yes, that's how much I like the series. I'm praying that she keeps it going. Oh my gosh. Okay. Would I recommend this book to clients? Absolutely. Yes, I would. It has everything that you need for the romance. It also has the suspension of belief in the dynamics of the world for the fantasy. It has the magic system. It has the world building. It has the dynamics where it sort of straddles the thing of paranormal romance, fantasy, and also having, let's just say, that mystery element. I think it also would be a great book that it could have been done as a slow burn. So someone that wants to do this dynamic and maybe not go so steamy, even though we like the steam, if they don't want to go so steamy, they could still pull off a great book. And what I really, really loved is the mystery was squarely within the context of the story. And that may sound weird, but I think sometimes when you do other mystery stories, it could be just that, like, they're a detective and this is what they do. And, but in this story, it's not what she does. So it kind of reminds you of having an amateur sleuth story. And all of the sort of clues and elements they rely on her, her ability to use her gifts, and she's still trying to figure that out. And so I just think it was a great story. I think I love the dynamic between Lexi and Kieran. By the time we end this book, they are an item, but kind of not yet. And so even though they are physically intimate and they're connected emotionally, the relationship itself is still slowly taking its course. And I like that because it means that each book has sort of this own little pocket of time and we're moving through that. So I think that's great for pacing, story structure, and how to place your content across multiple books in a serial. Another thing that I like is the fact that they are soft cliffhangers, and the fact that it's done with the same couple throughout the story, that it's equally romance and I really don't. It is fantasy, but I miss the days when we used to just add in speculative fiction. I think it would feel like it's more to me speculative fiction with some fantasy elements is what I would say, but because it's basically like an alternate existence of the real world because humans are there too. So yes, basically yes. Editor's take. This was a page turner. The pacing was unmatched. Loved it. I love the character development. I feel like she did enough to cover the story, but not do too much. I think there are still aspects about Kieran and Lexi that we are still curious about and that we are invested in their mission that will pull us from book 2 to book 3. And I think that's what you want, right? To really get people invested. If you're someone that doesn't like steamy romance, I mean, it is steamy, but it's not like, if I had to do a percentage, it's maybe 30. It's not a lot, but when it does, I'm just telling you, at least to me it was. What else? I love her style of writing. I like Lexi's sort of, I would kind of call it confidence. I think she's getting more confidence, but I think it's not fully confidence yet. I think it's in this thing of knowing herself, and she's not going to be told to do a thing that she doesn't want to do. And I think at this point, because she is still building her confidence, it's really about her moral compass. And if she can help someone, whether they are human or a ghost, to have closure and peace, she is going to do it. And I like that because that becomes her guiding principle as she's trying to figure out everything else. And what that does, I think, is it makes that character a lot more relatable. We may not relate to her ability to see ghosts, but we can relate to the fact that, you know what, she's just trying to handle the cards that she's been dealt. And she's just trying to be the best mother figure that she can be and provide for them in a way and keep them safe and keep them whole. And you can't fault her for that. And you are there for the whole journey. And I think more than anything, Breene made characters that we want to see win. That's all you want. You want people to read and have characters where they want to see them win and they're invested and them having that, for me, it's a happily ever after. Like, it's got to be one because it's a romance. Y'all, I have to read other books that are not romances, and it kills me that they don't have happily ever afters. But the point is, yes. Ultimately, I think it's interesting that I've read several K.F. Breene books, and I wouldn't quite say that she is one of my favorite authors, but I will say this book put her on that path because I am here for it. I think I've said that 50 times, but I'm going to say it one more time. I am here for all of it. I'm so curious about whether or not she does other spin-offs of the other characters, or whether she explores the dynamic of those characters in the future books. I absolutely love that Lexi gets in there and she's in the midst of stuff, and Kieran is not just this big overprotective person that tries to like buffer her from having her own experiences, even though, you know, some of that happens. I think it's going to be very interesting to see Mordecai and Daisy develop, because Mordecai is already growing into his shifter abilities in the book 2, and I think it's only going to get better. And I also think Daisy is growing in her own way, even in her human abilities. Listen, Daisy is a showstopper. She steals scenes, and I'm here for all of that too. And what I think overall this story does is it makes it so that you want to see everybody. You want to see everybody. You want to see what they're doing, how they're getting along. You know, listen, they drug people, they knock people out, they sneak out, they climb up walls, they hide, they lie, they do all the things. Okay. And so it has like everything, like I said, and then some. The final note that I will say about this is that this book is available in print, ebook, and audiobook. The audiobook is good. It's all done, I think, from a female's voice. I think. Yeah, it is. Oh, I know the narrator. Oh my gosh. I know the narrator. But overall was good. Great book. Kept me interested and engaged. And I finished it like super fast. Super fast. That is it. I hope that you are enjoying these Dana reads. I told you I'm not huge on ratings. And so my rating is quite simple. You know, what did the author deliver on the promise? Yes. Listen, I would give her 5 stars, and I would do it times 2, and I would do it times whatever else I could times it by. I just enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed this book. And I would say the closing word on this is I'm one of those readers that I absolutely love when I pick a book, like for a strategic reason or for work or for a client, and it feels like an absolute treat. Like God is saying, let me go ahead and give you something. You know what I mean? Like, just let me go ahead and hook you up with a series I know you're going to love. Because, I mean, I think in some ways I've seen the cover a million times, but I just never had any sort of desire to read it. And I think it's because it said sin. I don't know why. I was just like, But now when you think about the demigods and all of that, it makes sense. It makes sense. So the point is, I absolutely love this book. I am moving on to book 3. It's already locked and loaded. You probably heard it for a second there. For me to start reading, I will probably be reading it a little bit slower, whether I want to or not, because I'm finishing 2 other books. I also have another Dana Reads to record now that I'm doing this for a book that I did right before the love lyric that I want to do, which was sort of like a sweet or like a cozy romance. So I may come back with that one. But yeah, that's what I got for you. So let me know if you have read Sin and Chocolate, and if so, what was your experience with it? Is this something that you think you would read? And if not, let me know what you are reading. And if you're a crafter that's stuck it out, you over there stitching or knitting or slow stitching, let me know what you're working on and what you are reading. And definitely let me know if you have any book recommendations. With that said, your girl is out. Take care. I will see you all hopefully sooner than later. Goodbye.